Alright, hi. At a USA, USAX, USNX, DODX rail car created by Adam Nugent Rosenberger, purpose for the Department of Defense Form 1335. Alright, field inspection of rail cars form shows the test tank valve, pressure tank valve, gallons limit, and limited load weight, tonnage load limit, air date, journal pads type, date built, last inspected, ACI, yes. And then the items would go tank shell leaking, satisfactory repair, renewal, yes or no. Running board, metal, wood, satisfactory repair, renew, repair, satisfactory repair, renew, decayed or missing. Tank bands, satisfactory repair, renewing, loose or broken. Deck lining, satisfactory repair, renewed, date and type. Sill step grab, iron handrails, ladders, satisfactory repair, loose, broken, bent or broken. Uh, Coupler shank, sidewall, side knuckles, pins, lock nut. Satisfactory repair, renew, worn, cracked, alignment, low and imperative, striker casting, satisfactory repair, renew, cracked, broken, loose, draft gear, yoke, follower, key, cushion, device, satisfactory repair, renew, uh, worn, broken, missing, pounding, draft lugs, satisfactory repair, renew, loose rivets are missing, side bearings, satisfactory repair, renew, adjusting, missing or no clearance, side frame, bolster, column guide, satisfactory repair, renew, broken, patch, plated, striking or worn, spring, packaging, satisfactory, renew or repair, compress, missing, broken plates and wood, modification, stake pockets, yes or no, satisfactory repair, renew, shield, strap, other, cracked or bent, wheels, hand brake shaft wheel, satisfactory repair, renew, shim R, renew, wheels, satisfactory repair, renew, flange, crack, flat spots, trim, thin rim, axle journals, satisfactory repair, renew, collar heat, RJ stamp fillet, journal box lubricators low missing, center plates broken and loose, roller bearing, adapter lugs, heat, water worn, missing seals broken, defect card holder, plaque card holders, and route boards. Satisfactory repair, renew, tighten, or replace, paint condition, mechanical condition code. Alright, your item tank shell leaking. Is it satisfactory repair, renew with remarks, check yes or no? Sorry, you know. Alright, leaking tanks. A leaking tank should have been transferred as soon as possible. If leaking badly, temporary repairs must be accomplished. One method of stuff, waste, or rage is impregnated with a heavy lubricant in the opening to the arrest the flow. With the rupture is not too great. Too great a soap or clay may be adequate. These are strictly temporary exemptions, only performed provided time to transfer the landing to another car. If possible, the empty tank car should be selected to receive transfer to lading and should have similar commodity. Otherwise, lading may be contaminated or two compatible substances become mixed. If possible, the load should be transferred by gravity flow. If the gravity transfer cannot be made, siphon pressure may be used. Air pressure should be judiciously used only on cars loaded with heavy oils at a very low level. Leaks in some of the same seams caulked temporary by packing them with twine, lead wood pushed into place with the sharpened piece of wood and bronze. After the twine caulking has been tamped into place, a soap should be padded over in to form a ridge. Tools made of furious metal must not be used with the cars to repair type, since the damage of the ignition, flaming, landing, or gases by sparks that might occur when furious metals are brought into sharp contact. A dent in the tanker car does not require any attention if not leaking. Or your outlet valve leaks. Many leaks occur at the outlet valve underneath the tank. This is generally caused by a leaking valve inside the tank. The type of the leak often may be stopped by tightening in the cap on the bottom of the tank nozzle. If this does not remedy the trouble, the blind gasket is placed over the end of the tank nozzle cap screw, tightening against it, and sometimes such leakage can be stopped by removing the dome cover, moving the valve up and down several times, and bad leaks and often develop in the tank nozzle of the outlet valve. Because of the freezing cold weather, as water is heavier than oil, are formed from condensation will be at the bottom of the tank and be first to run out. The water often freezes in cold weather, bursting the tank nozzle and causes leak when it thaws. In such cases, leaky valves should be replaced after the car is emptied before reloading. Alright, slabbing, satisfactory repair, renew, check for metal or wood, check decayed or missing. Alright, sheathing. When sheathing is damaged, shifting load, or other accident, it should be promptly replaced, for the damaged portion should be removed, so not the damaged remaining portion of the process. But new boards should be good quality without large or loose knots, and sheathing boards are wider and at opening end than other. Care must be exercised to keep the board plumb with the nailing of them in place. The board shall be lightly nailed narrow on first of the other end, and can they pried into the plumb position and nailed down. The groove is last board and should not be broken off in order to insert the board. The last 3 or 4 boards should be fitted together in the form of an arc. They can be sprung into position, nailed down. Nails should be not driven into the tongues of the board, as these splits then cause leaks. It also prevents the boards from fitting tightly together. Alright, your running board. It shows a narrow running board, end support, angle, end panel, flat jack, long sill notch, 10 welded panels, 16 running boards. Alright, running board. You're going to check for the satisfactory repair, renew, check metal or wood, check rivets. Running boards and saddles. Running boards and saddles at the top of the boxcars will no longer require. Paragraph 914D, which is out of the technical maintenance manual for railroad cars. Where used will be maintained safe condition using AAR standards as a guide. Nails must not be used in the running boards. If screw becomes loose, they should be removed and the holes plugged. New screws must be applied in the other location, secured down tight. When running board saddles become decayed or split, they will be replaced. Running boards. The installation of the boxcar running boards are safety measures on the top. Newly built boxcars not required. However, such running boards on older cars must be maintained in serviceable condition. Fastening the board should be inspected regularly. Any loose pieces of the rivets replaced. Preventive maintenance include painting at the regular intervals to prevent rust. Alright, tank man. Satisfactory repair, renew, or check loose or broken. Shell plates. The repair or straightening of the dented shell plates generally is performed in the same manner as repair of the tank heads discussed in D above, which is in the tanker maintenance manual. When necessary to remove the tank plate, care must be taken to avoid damaging it with removing the old rivet. The rivet should be driven head over the outside of the buck in the inside using well-designed bucking bar instead of another hammer. Rivets must be tight, as loose rivets can be detected holding a finger on the rivet and tapping rivet lightly with a hammer. If loose, it will vibrate slightly, and the loose rivet must never be caulked. If they leak, they must be replaced. Alright, deck lining. Satisfactory repair, renew, date, and type. Alright, your flooring. Damage of the floorboards should be removed and then replaced with the new boards. If only one of the 2 boards to be removed, the split one or both of them with a sharp pointed bar to prevent damage to joining the tongues and grooves. In any case for the damaged floorboards are removed, the understructure should be carefully examined. Other damage. The bottom of the board's inner lining must be removed to allow the removing of the floorboards, replacing them and applying new flooring. The boards must cover the projection belt rivet heads and placing the board in position and tap lightly to make an impression of the obstruction. The cut of the notch in the board large enough for the bolt or rivet head and secure the board in position. Lining. When a lining is damaged, old boards can be readily pried loose and new ones fixed into place. If any of the large numbers must be replaced, it must be moving that the belt rail and work down and or up in case or up belt work down or up in as in the case to be placing new boards of the rail should be secured before working downward or upward from it. This prevents having the last board positioned next to the belt rail. Alright, your sill steps, grab iron handrails, satisfactory repair, renew, check loose or bent or broken. Alright, this shows your normal to the far left, and then above, and then to the right, defective, and then the other defective on the hazards and says normal and defective sidebars and safety appliances. Are your coupler, shank, and sidewall knuckles, pins, and locking, lock lift. Satisfactory repair, renew, check worn, cracked alignment, low imperative. Maintenance. The operating parts illustrated in figure 7.8 and 7.9 remove the accessibility of the maintenance following that are taken inspection for the type of the coupler. Visually inspect operating parts of the coupler to see that they are not cracked or broken. Test uncoupling device for proper operation. 3. Check all visible parts of the draft gear for the cracks or damage. Measure coupler height. Center line of the coupler should be 41 inches from the top of the rail, and buffer center line should measure 42 inches from the top of the rail. Inspect friction, inspection friction buffers, transition screws, devices loose and missing cracked parts. Slack. If any slack exits between the coupler and butt and the flower plate of the draft gear body, the cause should be determined and remedial action taken. Slack usually be caused by one coupler butt, but maybe due to defect of the draft coupler. In Chapter 6 of the technical manual railroad maintenance car, one coupler butts may be built with electric welding shim plates inserted to eliminate slack. Your recommended heights are your empty 32.5 inch minimum, 34.5 maximum on recommended coupler heights. For empty, loaded 31.5 inches minimum, 33.5 inch minimum maximum. Height is measured for the top of the rail and center face of the coupler. Alright, the example of the type F coupler gauges. The example of type E coupler gauges. Typical D coupler ridge shank, starting from the knuckle pin location, the body, head, horn, boot, shank, butt, and guard arm, lugs, and knuckles. Typical type E coupler. This shows your type E and F coupler head. Coupler components continued. Type F interlocking and H interlocking coupler head. Example of a coupler shank head. Using contour gauge. Using a worn limit gauge, worn distorted contour, original contour. Hook, link, and screw coupler, buffler, and draft gear, side buffers. Typical Wilson arrangement. 1. The friction buffer. 2. The Wilson coupler. 3. The buffer space. 4. The coupler support. 5. The draft gear and yoke. 6. The transition device. 7, 8, operating type E, a Wilson coupler. 1, the coupler. 2, the thrower arm and bolt and nut. 3, the lock. 4, the support hook. 5, the thrower. And 6, the filler block. Operating parts of type L Wilson coupler. 1, the body. 2, the lock coupler. 3, the thrower coupler. 4, the lock thrower coupler. 5, the lock sat coupler. And 6, lock retainer coupler. 7, bolt lever and coupler. Alright, striker casting, satisfactory repair, renew, checking cracked or broken, missing. Satisfactory repair and renew. Alright, strike casting is a large metal casting secured over the inside end of the center sill. The casting has 3 main functions. First, lugs restrict the movement of the draft gear. It also acts as a support over the coupler shank. This is the main component to absorb heavy impacts of the center sill. Due to this, the striker casting has a heavy metal block lines up with the horn of the coupler. When the car receives excessive pushing exerted against it, the coupler will compress the draft gear. This allows the horn of the coupler to contact the face of the striker. If the gear becomes severely worn or receives too much impact, it may become damaged. This warning possible problems with the equipment. Draft gear, yoke, and follower gear and cushion device. Satisfactory repair, renew. Check for worn, broken, missing, or pounding. Typical friction draft gears. Your draft gear parts and yokes shows the yoke, the front condensation follower, the compensation pads, the front cushioning pad follower, the cushioning pals, rear follower, retaining bolts, steel shims. Alright, draft lug, satisfactory repair, renew, check loose and riveting. Alright, follow me from strike casting to the right, coupler, the yoke, the front lugs, cross key, retainer follower plate, draft gear, carrier, iron, rear lugs, and draft or cross key. Alright, draft gear lug. The draft gear lugs or draft lugs can be broken down on the front of the rear lug. The rear lugs are secured to the center shelf of the rear of the draft gear with a pocket in some case that may be part of the center plate spider casting. Front lugs are generally part of the striking casting. Alright, example of the draft gear system starting on the left, the coupler, and then the key. In the key slot, the draft gear, the support plate, the vertical yoke, and the bolster center line. Side bearings, satisfactory repair, renew, check adjusting missing or no clearance. Side bearings. Side bearings consist of a special steel plate, flat bearing surface with a contact similar plates on the body bolster fabricated as part of the bolster. They're designed to steady of the car body to prevent excessive rocking, maintaining intermittent contact with the similar members of the body bolster instead of the flat bearing surface of the combination of the rollers and rockers may be found on some cars. New car specification requires side bearing clearance to be adjusted with limits of 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch per bearing. Measured each bearing of the car on level the track of the car body level. Total side bearing clearance at the B, N, and R, and A and L, and A and R corners must be the same total clearance at the bend of the L and A and R corners, with a permissible variation 1/8 of an inch rising end of the car above the trucks. Side bearing inspected with aware or of the breakage, repairs, replacement indicated with the trucks should be rolled out from under the facility that repair. If replacement is necessary, the old side bearing can be burned off or a new one asphyxiated by riveting of or welding. Original manner care will be taken against adjusting for proper clearance. And this shows your side bearing case. Are your side frame bolster, columns, guides, satisfactory repair, renew, check for broken, patch, plated, striking, or worn. Alright, table A4, truck side frame, bolster, gib, wear, limits, wheels or chain with the truck dismantled, wear, truck side frame, columns, bolsters, gibs must be measured before assembly. When wear exceeds the limit shown below, the same must be repaired. Type of the truck, plain bearing truck without built-in features, repair with the total clearance between the bolster, truck side frame, columns reach lateral 1/1/8 of an inch, longitudinal 3/4 of an inch. Repair with the nominal clearance dimension, bolster of the truck side of the frame, lateral inside 1/8 of an inch, outside total longitude 3/16 of an inch. Alright, type of truck. Trucks with built-in snubbing features having plain bearings. All bearing sizes have roller bearings which provide bearing lateral. All bearing sizes are having the 5/9, 5.5 by 10 inch roller bearings which provide no bearing lateral 1/8 of an inch. The asterisk stands for a longitudinal clearance, a primary matter of wear, frame, bolster, column, wear plates, friction shoes, bolster, column, frame. Same maintenance instruction from the truck designer or manufacturer. Your lateral repair nominal clearance dimension of the bolster truck side frame is 1/4 inch. Alright, type of truck. Trucks built in with a stumping feature of 6 inches to 11 inch, 6.5 inch to 12 inches, 7 inch. The 12-inch roller bearings will provide no bearing lateral. 1.5 inch lateral repair will be total clearance between the bolster truck side frame, columns reach. Repair with nominal clearance dimension truck between bolster and truck side frame 1/2 inch on the inside and outside. Our method of marking mating cast steel side frames is it shows the bearing journal and the side frame of the truck. Alright, notched C1 truck, limited wear indication, friction casting, barber stabilized thing, ride control truck, limited wear, friction casting. Shows the bolster gib wear plate, side wear frame. Example of the bolster gib and side wear frame, wear plate. Alright, your illustration repair welding truck side frame, repair hanger bracket, 1 inch, unit guide bracket, roof liner repair, permissible heat treatment. Alright, spring packaging, satisfactory repair, renew check for the compressed, missing broken plates and wood. Alright, truck spring. General, the truck bolster ends properly fitted between the column of the truck side frame will rest on a unit cluster of the coil springs, which are set built up in the shoulder spring with the sprockets of the truck side frame and the truck bolster make up the spring cluster, dependent upon the loads and spring travel dictated by operating condition, the cluster of which the capacity of the place of the removable since for the fixed of neither bolster nor side frame. Spring replacement. Bolster, I can't read that because I'm sorry, it's just bad contrast. Your spring may break in place of the may break or become loose, which occurs one spring is not serious, and when, however, an additional strain is there placed on the remaining springs in the case of the heavily loaded that may be unable to carry the load, thus possibly resulting in truck failure, hot journal, derailment, other serious damage, rusting, breakage of the connecting parts may be caused if the spring become loose, eventually lost. The spring plank is damaged, greater pressure will be applied with the springs, result with the broken springs, tilting the truck with the springs found with the broken missing. The new spring will be installed to do this for the truck and be partially disassembled. Following the procedure outlined above, the weight must be taken with the bolster raised high enough for the spring to come free. New spring should fit with the spring seat exactly and have the same snubbing characteristics as the other springs in the group. Then it shows the truck, side bearing axle, center plate, braking lever, brake hanger, brake shoe, wheel rail, brake beam, brake pin, brake conducting rod, journal box, side frame, spring plank, coil spring bolster. Alright, your snub device, and this shows example of the snubbing device. Example of spring packs type, snubbing device, truck spring condemning height limits. Alright, modification of steel to state pocket, satisfactory repair, renew check shield straps, other specified crack or bent, yes or no. Alright, shows the top one shows your body bolster, your center sill cover plate, floor stringers, body bolster. In the center, you see the end sill draft gear pocket, side sill state pocket, diagonal brace, the side bearing, body bolster, cross tie, cross bears, center sill, body bolster. Alright, shows your cross bear, center sill, cross ties, striking plate, coupler draft and gear pocket, body bolster, intermediate sills. Component parts being illustrated on the underframe, lowering completed underframe on the trucks, repair procedures. Marking with templates, metal necessary for work template, stop on template, template for the angle, templates for I-beams, and then shows a straightening push end sill by jacking against the body bolster, end sill, center sill, body bolster, jack sill, side sill, bullock. Handbrake, shaft, and wheel satisfactory repair, broken check shims R&R renewed. Alright, the TM5203, the complete brake inspection repair check of the TM203, maintenance of the rail car, Chapter 8. Making ground inspection standards of the deposits on the rails of the front of the consist lead Wheels, direction, and movement of the consist rear wheel. Fuel tank must not have any leaks. Brake cylinders, position, travel must be at minimum sufficient to permit brake shoes to clear the wheels for the brakes release. Minimum not more than the toll piston travel displayed on the block of the F6180 and 49A minus 1.5 inches. Brake shoes should be carried aligned with the wheel. Brake rigging must not be bind or fouled. There must be no cracks, broken, missing of any locomotive, truck, wheel, gear case, draft gear, coupler, carrier, jumper cables must not be frayed, damaged, be stowed, and if unused, have each end connection with a warm receptacle, dummy receptacle. CSX air brake train handling and equipment. Alright, so it shows that 5,000 air brake general, 550 locomotive air brake equipment, 5100 air brake test general requirements, 5150. Making locomotive air brakes test, 5200. Making train air brake inspection testing, 53 locomotives, 5350 locomotive condition, 5400 locomotive operation, 55,100 fundamental of the train handling, 5,550 conventional train handling, 5,600 helpers for the 650 special train handling procedure, 5,700 telemetry equipping trains, 5,750 telemetry qualification, 5,800 arming telemetry two-way capability, 5,850 testing two-way telemetry emergency compatibility, 5,900 disarming emergency capability, 5,950 en route failures, defects, Appendix A, setting up locomotive air brakes, Appendix B, illustration brake valve handling position, Appendix C, locomotive data guide. Alright, this shows your truck lever with cylinder level, the brake pads, brake placards, brake rigging, and dimensions. Alright, your air hose, the defective air hose, a split hose, a worn hose, a hose with a split. Shows different soft bend and split hoses and worn hose. Straight shaft hanging handbrake. Vertical gear type handbrake, a boxcar showing retainer. Vertical type lever type gear handbrake, typical horizontal type handbrake. Wheels, satisfactory repair, renewed, check flange, cracked, flat spots, thin rim. Alright, type of trucks. Car trucks have been generally described in paragraph 32 of the TM 525-203. There are many different types of the same general characteristics applicable to all this part. The text is large, limited, conventional four-wheel cars, baluster, coil spring, side frame, freight car trucks, discussed in 419 through 421. Inspection repair of the maintenance of the car trucks, essential to repair part of the railway operation. Wheels must roll the movement, personnel, equipment supplied by the rail. Wheel flanges wear sharp, tread wear thin, brake shoes wear out. Diameter of a car wheel bearings decrease in length with the increase of the surface of the car. Journals worn down until they are uneven from journal finishing reach of the danger point. The curves of the defective surface must be smooth, polished to create new wearing surface. The rear wearing and reconditioning eventually will reduce the journal to unsafe diameter length. Length also becomes greater with the maximum lateral movement of the bearing and journal excess with safety operation. 4.2. Maintenance of the truck is a unit. The body of the car may be salvaged because of the wear of the wheel and the treads, journal bearings, and possible shortening of the springs resulting from the set of the selling may be the virtual importance of the since the relative height settled for the car is often coupled cars disturbed. However, the car can be brought up to the proper level, the placing shims and liners requiring thickness for the under the truck springs and or replacing effective the wearing weak springs. This will relieve the truck bolster body of the car. The car also can be raised with placing a shim in the center plate, but requires compensating adjusting of the side bearings. Proper height of the car established by measuring the height of the coupler of the rail. This should not exceed 34.5 inches from the center of the coupler of the continental United States cars. Alright, this example of the wheel defect with worn coupler, limited wheel, journal coupler, and journal fillet gauge. It shows the method of the gauging of flat spots and also the road limited services. Limit shop, limit. Method of gauging thin flanges, method of gauging vertical flanges, method of gauging thin flanges, wheel condemnable, method of gauging flanges, wheels condemnable. Cast steels wear have not flat back, face rim, all other steel wheels, method of measuring high flanges. Gauge 3/64 inch worn through spot in the chill area out of around 33.5 inches. Wheel. Built-in thread. Wheel is condemnable whenever the thread has built up in the material. Tread is built up in the metal 1/8 of an inch higher than the wheel tread. Groove tread. A wheel tread is condemnable whenever it has one more grooves worn to a depth of 1/8 of an inch or more. Gauge defective device is wheels. Method of gauging a worn flange gauge flange wheel measuring point condemning line freight service. Method of gauging witness groove in flange. Method of gauging location witness flange gauge. Method of gauging flange height. Method of gauging vertical flange. Your burnt rim, your spread rim, your another spread rim, shattered rim. Subsurface defect of the round, turning wheel, shelled tread, built up tread. Groove tread wear, cracked hub, crack broken plate, thermal cracks, crack extending through the rim. Crack originating from a hole burned in the wheel. Your wheel out of gauge dimension is less than 53.5 inches, exceeds 53 3/8 of an inch. Alright, Class A axles are 3 3/4 inch by 7. Their nominal wheel size seat diameter is 5.5 and 5.5 inches. Minimum 35/55. Steel wheels 50/70. Max B 40 B 4 1/4 by 8. Nominal wheel seat diameter 5 3/4 inch, 5/56 of an inch. Cast iron 35/60, 55/80. 65, 6 and 5 60, 6 and 5 16ths of an inch, 40, 65, 70, 100. Class C type axle, 5 and 9th of an inch, 5 by 9, 6.5, 48 by 65, 70 by 100, 7 45 by 70, 75 110. Type Class D, 5.5 by 10 inches, 7 inches nominal wheel seat diameter, 45 by 70 cast iron, 75 by 100 cast iron steel. D, 5.5 by 10, 7 by 9, 16th of an inch, 50 by 75, 80 to 120. E type E class axle, 6 by 11, 7 and 5/8 of 50 by 75, 80 by 120, 8 and a quarter, 55, 800, 85, 30, 130. Type F class axle, 6.5 by 12, 8 and 8 1 and 8 and 1/8, 8 and 3/4, and then steel wheel would be 90 to 140. This shows your wear cross section diagram provided with the show location and tabulated dimensions, and it shows AB your dimension tolerances. Alright, axle tuning, satisfactory repair, renew, check collar, heat, RJ stamp, and fillet. Standard axle dimensions are based on loading ratings, which turn are fixed with the journal slide. The figure 417 shows the limit of the wear, the new dimension of the plain freight car axle. Figure 418, same data with the passenger car axles. With new passenger car axles, you with the new car passenger car surface loading rated individual axles shall be shown in table 4.1, where axles are selected in the corner of the table. Figure 419. Common defects. Site below shorted general description of the various common axle journal defects for recommended cut, burn journals. Depression continuing out of streak of injury with the surface of the metal of the wheel seat and journal of the cat. Such a cut of the journal must not be removed except with a machine cut in a lathe. Such defeat is allowed with the remain that must cause a broken axle or a hot journal. 2. Bent axle. All second-hand dismantled axles should be checked in the lathe between centers around 2 centric. See on tapered over the wheel seat and journals, the axle is found to be bent. Should be scraped unless journals and wheel seat turned up within the specified limit of practice. So sometimes follow and leave chalk witnesses marks in wheel seats to show axles been checked in the lathe. Broken axle. Circumferential lapse and seams or any portion of the axle likely to cause trouble. The broken axle with one over the broken end of the collar must be scraped. Back journal fillet. The standardized lathe tool simplifies the practice journal fillets normally turned into the standard radii no axles. The rules, however, the permitted with the second-hand axles maximum back fillet radius 1/8 of an inch C and 4C and larger axles back gauge wheel defect gauge. Minimum radius employed when axles can be reapplied, refinishing, restoring the fillets. Steering radii would cause the journal to scrap the deficiency length of the diameter. Journal fillet, journal length of the limit. The length of the worn journal should be measured between a point of 1/4 inch above the journal surface of the face of the end of the collar to a point of 1/8 inch below the dust guard. C for the back fillet shown in figure 420. Any gauge for the measure of the length of the journals in accordance with the method of the gauge can be used. Figure 421 illustrates the type of the gauge used for the railroads throughout the United States. 6. The collar worn limited limits where the conformity was shown. Figure 418. Journal diameter worn below limits will conform to those shown in 418. Wheel see below will limit the wear will be conform to those 418. Our journal length of the worn limited axles usually are scraped because the journal has been reached condemning length of the required because of the journal wheel seats have reached the condemning diameter and theater operations where the axles will be in short supply. A light of 1/8 inch of the diameter of the journals will remove the bend scores of the cuts of the fillet with the restore of the fillets with the length of the journal, appreciable reducing thickness of the end of the collar. Alright, it shows your plain journal axiom limited to A, B, and G. Alright, shows the plain axle journal wear limit. Journal size 4 1/4 by 8. A is 3/16, and B is 8 11/16, and G is 3 3/4. Your journal standard size 5 by 9, 3/16 of an inch journal collar, 8 11/16 journal length, 4 1/2 the journal diameter, 5 1/2 by 10 inch, 3/16 of an inch journal journal length, 8 11/16 the journal diameter, 5 inches, 6 by 11 inches. 3 1/16 inch journal collar, 8 11/16 the journal length, 5 1/2 journal diameter, 6 1/2 by 12 inches, journal length, 3/16 of an inch, 8 11/16 over the 6 1/2 inches, 7 inch by 12 inch, 3/16 of an inch, 8 11/16 of an inch, 6 1/2 inches journal diameter. Alright, your plain axle wear reject when less than 4 1/4 by 8 inch, A 5 1/2, B 6 1/16. G, journal diameter 4 11/16, 5 by 9, 6 1/4 on the journal collar, 6 3/4 journal length, journal diameter 4 1/2 by journal diameter, 5 1/2 by 10 inch, 6 3/4 of an inch journal collar, 7 3/16 of an inch journal length, 5 3/4 of an inch journal diameter rejection when less than 6 11 by inches, 7 3/8 of an inch, 7 journal length, 7 7/8 of an inch, 6 5/16 of an inch, journal diameter, 6 1/2 by 12 inch, 7 7/8 of the journal collar, journal length, 8 3/8 of an inch, journal diameter, 6 3/4 of an inch, 7 by 12 inch journal size standard, 7 7/8 of an inch journal collar, 9 1/4 inch journal length, and journal diameter 5 7/8 of an inch reject when less than. Alright, roller bearing axle wear limited to 4 1/4 by 8 inch, 5 1/2 on the wheel seat, black collar, wheel seat raised, 6 1/16 of an inch, axle center 4 11/16 of an inch, 5 by 9 inch, 6 1/4, wheel seat, black collar, wheel seat raised 6 3/4, axle center 5 1/2. 5 1/2 by 10 inches, journal standard 6 3/4 wheel seat, block collar, 7 3/4 inch wheel seat raised, axle center 5 3/4, 6 by 11 inches, journal size standard 7 3/8 inch wheel seat, black collar, 7 7/8 inch wheel seat raised, 6 5/16 inch axle center, 6 1/2 inch by 12 inch, 7 7/8 of an inch, 8 3/8 of an inch wheel seat raised, axle center 6 3/4 inch, 7 12 inches, only wheel seat raised 9 1/4, axle center 7 7/8 of an inch. Alright, your total axle ratings. And shows the type, max load in pounds of each axle designed to carry. Maximum weight of rail car load in 4-wheel trucks. Alright, new limitation dimension plane friction and bearings. New limitation design passenger car axles. Economical selection wheel axles. Alright, your length of the worn journal. Show the contour of the worn journal of the correct measurement as being of 9/5/16 of an inch, and correct measurement 11/16 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch depth by 1/4 inch depth. Alright, this shows the gauge used for the measuring length of the journals on Class A to F axles as inexclusive. Alright, journal box and lubricator satisfactory repair, renewed check low or missing. Inspection journal packing general. When inspection reveals any of the following conditions shall be taken and indicated below. If the journal packaging has dirt mixed with the grease, the box should be repacked. And the journal box containing the excessive amounts of the snow and ice water should be repacked. Repacked journal box containing excessive amounts of the snow and ice water should be repacked. Particular attention should be given to all boxes located under drain ice boxes, refrigerator car when found and containing drippings. Box should be replaced. The journal boxes having high water should be cleaned. Repacked as soon as practical. Careful examination must be made in the corroded and pitted journals. Re-oiling. If the packing should dry along the top of it after it has been reset less than 1.5 inch for the oil in the bottom of the box. If the oil shall be added starting at the back of the box and working in the oil can spout forward along the bolt side of the journal in direction of the car movement is known. Also should be added on the raising side of the journal only with the box labeled closely properly. There is no loose threads packing hanging outside necessary cold weather. 2. Having cut back and thinner oiler and hot car oil than thin oil having flash point of 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Above may be used to use kerosene oil. Any of the flash point below 300 is prohibited. This shows typical journal box. Show the journal box lid, the wedge, the dust guard inserted bearing, typical journal bearing assembly. This is method journal packaging. Typical journal lubricating pad. Center plate. Satisfactory repair, renewed, check, broken, or loose. Center plate. The truck bolster center plate is depression where the center plate is casting is riveted to the center of the car. Fits and is held by a weight of the car body. Confirmation for the casting center pin. The center pin should be inspected for presence of the dirt, grit, scale, and form material which cause the binding above the wear, and the center plate with the pin should be lubricated with a suitable hard grease prior to being replaced. Under the car with the center plate should be examined for the car broken portions. If the damage is noted, the center plate and the bolster necessary should be removed. The outline in a B above, placed with the new one in the center plate is riveted. It can be replaced, but singly liners of the chin plate with the center plate adjusted with the coupler height are permissible, providing natural vertical bearing surface of the center plate is not reduced to 1/8 and 1/8 of an inch. Such liners should be only one piece of the exceeding 1/4 of an inch, and to inspect the center plate of the cleaning and lubricating that can be raised or by hoist jacks or sufficient height to be the center plate visible for the inspection. Care should be taken to put hands on fingers in the center case of under such circumstances. This shows the picture of the center plate, and then above the center plate, and then from the center plate, and then another center plate, and this end from the bolster. Your roller bearing adjusting adapters and lugs satisfactory repair, renewed, check, heat, worn, missing seals or broken. Renewed journal bearings when back lug is broken, worn 1/4 of an inch more lengthwise, either the end with combined wear lengths of 3/8 of an inch or more, lug worn depth of 1/8 of an inch or more in an area of which is over 50% of the contact face. Combined wear of both sides with lug extension 1/4 of an inch more. Any location the lining is worn through brass at any location 3/8 of an inch or more above the low edge of the brass side of the walls. Lining is loose or broken out. Lining is pulled with the journal and contact area indicated with the wearing pattern. Wheels and the axle change. 2 bearings for each set of the wheels missing. Shows a tapered roller bearing. Heavy duty bearings, applications, exploded view. This shows the nomenclature of a heavy duty bearing assembly. Your packing, iron waist, grab hook. Your recommended method of stacking journal bearings. Defective car holder, placard holders, route boards. Satisfactory repair, renew, check, tightening, and replace. This gives you class 1, class 2, class 1 explosives, class 2 flammable gases, class 3 flammable solids, class 4 flammable solids, spontaneous and wet, oxidizing, class 5 peroxides, organic peroxides, class 6 poisonous liquid, 7 radioactive material. Paint condition, satisfactory repair, or renew. And then it shows the colors, safety, and then mechanical condition code, satisfactory repair, renew. And if something's wrong with this publication, you always have DA 2280. Recommended changes, equipmental technical publication. Then jot this down with the dope and about it is on this form, and carefully tear it from the hold and drop it in the mail. This place should the form from print your name, location, address, publication number, publication date, publication title, date, site, be exact, pinpoint where it is. This place tell me what's wrong and what should be done about it. DA form 2028, and that completes my the video for railroad cars. Thank you.